Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah, a board certified health and wellness coach, and I help adults over 50 who are ready to take small steps that add up to big change when it comes to healthy aging. Welcome to my Wednesday Coaches Need Coaches series. It's where I kind of give my little report on how things are going in my own personal wellness journey, any lessons learned, challenges along the way. And so, if you've been following my series, you know for the month of July and August that I am following Seth Capehart's Primal 60 program. And I'm doing this because I moved to Texas last October from Colorado, and I started to see that I was gaining some weight. And then I also needed to increase my movement. I just wasn't moving the body enough. So let's get into what's going on with my results this week. Let's look at the numbers. So this is my weigh-in today, and I have lost a total of 10 pounds since I started this program on July the 1st. And then from last week to this week, I lost another 1.8 pounds. And we talked last week about, a slow and steady weight loss is kind of a really positive thing. We don't want crash diets. We're just trying to get a little bit of a calorie deficit when it comes to our week to week eating so that we can shed some of the pounds that we've gained. Other health measures that I like to look at include my waist and hips. And I haven't seen a ton of change like every week dramatically, but I can tell you that I lost a half inch in my waist last week, and I also lost another inch in my hips. So since I started the program July 1st, I started with a waist to hip ratio of 0.96, and now it is 0.92. We're definitely going in the right direction. And this is an important measure because it helps tell us about how much visceral fat we have, which is kind of tied to some metabolic things and some cardiovascular risk. So super happy about that. The other thing that I look at every week is my glucose in the morning. Now, I've never had a formal diagnosis of diabetes, but I do know that I'm insulin resistant. I know that some foods will cause me to, the next day, I'll check my sugar and it's 120. So I definitely am watching the carbs. And so things are going good. My glucose checks are solid in the 80s. I'm really pretty pleased and confident with those. And I may even kind of start to back off checking them, but I'm still playing with adding more carbs, adding more sweet potato and root vegetables and low glycemic things. So that's just a good way for me to check in and know that I am doing well with that. So this week's wins, what is working? I want to say that all the physical activity additions are working. I talked about adding 8,000 steps a day, and I had a lot of fear around that when I started this program, but I got brave and I increased my physical activity. And then the second thing I did was add the weightlifting. Now, I used to lift weights several years ago, and I like it, but I was not doing a lot of strength training in my personal routine. So what I've noticed with the weightlifting is I'm starting to feel more confident. My posture's better. Some of this chronic pain that I have on my shoulders is improving. And then doing the high intensity interval training, the HIIT workout. And this was completely new to me. And most groups, if you join them, and this group is that way too. In Primal 60, there's a little forum. And so I put a message out there to the group, hey, I don't know how to do HIIT. Give me some insight. And I got suggestions for Tabata videos. So I've been doing those and going real well. I like them. They always make me smile. And I actually did it yesterday afternoon for this week. So I've already got my HIIT working out for this next week. But let's talk about what's been challenging. What are my learnings this week? Well, one thing I think is so important, and I learned this as a coach, but I also know it in my own personal journey. I've tested this. It's really tempting to add more exercise. We kind of live in a culture that promotes that, right? Do more, push more. They're always telling you that more is better. And sometimes we get into this mode of constant striving. But one thing we have to do on our wellness journeys is know to celebrate our success. And even though I'm tempted to add more exercise, like a second HIIT workout during the week or pushing my walking, I know it's important to stay right here this next week and notice all of the green lights around moving my body, doing this exercise, building confidence and that feeling of safety in the body when it comes to stepping up this exercise. Some of you know a little bit about my story. You may not know I had a central sleep apnea in Colorado. And so for a couple of years, I was hypoxic at night and I had exercise intolerance and I couldn't go on the 2-night backpacking trips. So I had some fear around that. And so I think right now over the next weeks, it's important to stay right here and to celebrate success and to start noticing those green lights. So I'm noticing, like, what does it feel like when the exercise really does start to bring energy to my day? And instead of making, like, when I first started the program, you hurt the next day, or you do that first HIIT workout and you have a lot of discomfort perhaps, and then enjoying the sweat. If you've seen videos or you live in Texas, it's hot here, and that can be kind of a thing, like you don't want to get outside. But I learned in Colorado, there's no bad weather, there's only the wrong clothes. So I wear, a hat, I've got water on board. And so I'm getting out there anyway, and I'm noticing I'm really starting to enjoy that sweat, whether it's my HIIT workout or whether it's walking the 8,000 steps a day. And then the other celebration thing that I noticed this week was I'm ready for my HIIT or weightlifting workout. The first couple of weeks is kind of like drag yourself over there. Okay, this is on the to-do, we're going to do it, right? And so I'm ready for my HIIT workout or my weightlifting workout in the afternoon, and I feel fine. Like, just noticing the energy, not getting into freeze mode with overwhelm. And so, my main takeaways from this week are, chop wood and carry water. Let's keep going with the routine. I've already decided that the 8,000 steps a day, the weightlifting and the HIIT, they're going to stay in my permanent, essential toolbox. Like, these are the things that I do every day. And so building the habit is kind of a myth that it takes 28 days. It takes more than that to make a big change like this. And it also takes noticing the wins, noticing the feel goods in the body, and building the confidence. So that's where we are. Progress over perfection, one small step a day. And that's what I have for this week. The weight loss is coming off. My diet is good. I've had good food variety. The physical movement, everything's going well. So thanks for watching. I'll be back next Wednesday with another Coaches Need Coaches video. I hope you'll like my video, subscribe to my channel, and leave some comments, leave some questions. What would you like to hear more about? What are you doing right now to take that next right step for you when it comes to healthy aging? So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.